Thank you so much to Rachel for such superb chairing, bringing us in on time. And thanks again to all of our online presenters for such a fascinating session that is certainly very timely right now. And of course to Joe for being a great online facilitator. We're now going to move into our closing session. I'm mindful that people are having to catch aeroplanes and needing to move bodies and needing to stretch and get some sunshine. But we want to bring this ceremony to a close, and we want to acknowledge some people and thank some people. So we're going to ask if you can stay with us just a little bit longer, and I'm going to ask each of the scientific committee, such a formal title, to come and join me on stage. You have to pull up a chair. It's DIY at this stage in the conference. And we're going to have a little moment of collective reflection now to close. So Alexis, that includes you. I'll come and join you. Okay, and we also have Lukas online. Lukas, we will see you in a minute when we take the slide off the screen, and we look forward to seeing how good you look at about 8 o'clock in the morning, having been awake for 3 days. So we'll take a seat and we'll invite Lukas in a minute to say a few words. So you can sit down now. Wait. You can tell we're all a little tired. It has been an epic journey in the lead up to this conference and over the last 3 days. So hopefully we'll behave ourselves and still keep it all together for the last stretch. Before I turn to the others, I said, why don't we use this last session to just have a brief reflection from the heart. And I said, choose whatever creative way you want to do it. It might be to speak out some words, it might be to sing, it might be to dance, it might be to improvise. And so we're going to give everybody just a chance to do that. But as I was reflecting over the last few days, I was scrolling through all of my photos. This usually happened at about 11:30 at night, where I was like, oh gosh, I've got to do a social post at the end of an epic day. And I just was overwhelmed with so many beautiful images that really spoke to the words that I shared in my opening address, where I said, this is the first SIMM we've had in our region. It's been in London last year, Paris the year before. We're soon going to hear about Copenhagen, and Maria's going to try and entice you there. And so we really wanted to make this grounded in our region, grounded in this sense of country and place. And I hope that over the last 3 days, you've really taken that sense of spirit and wisdom and culture to heart. And I wanted to thank everybody who's played such a key role in that process. It's been in the ceremony that's been shared in this room. It's been in the walk that we took along the Great Maiwar River. It's been in the music meditations and sound baths that we've had. It's been in all the lively exchange. And I hope that you've also taken away the experience that I also said in my opening words, which was around interaction. It's a different format at SIMM. We don't just give paper after paper and parallel sessions where everyone becomes so disconnected by the end. We're walking zombies. I think we've had a wonderful opportunity for a lot of interaction and dialogue and discussion that certainly left lots of food for thought and plenty of questions. So I'm going to turn to each of our organising committee to each share a little something, and then I'm going to be giving some votes of thanks. And then we're going to hear a little bit about what's happening next year. So have we decided who might like to go first? We're a very democratic group.
That's democracy in action, yes. I have a poem. It's a poem of phrases that I've collected over the last 3 days from different people's presentations. Apologies for the extractive approach, but nevertheless, they do offer us a story. So I entitle this poem, This is Big Work. Listen, tune in, look up, witness. This is big work. I'm a big believer in stories of change, singing songs, clapping hands, mischief making. Buy new headphones. Amazing jam sessions, Afro pop dance, fun in the park, feeling groovy, holding space for all this, the sacredness of meeting. But it's not all chocolate cake and bubble baths. This deep and growing disquiet when pathways fail, there are untold and unresolved stories of access. Universities, territories, research initiatives, the hard place, the stuck point, the steel rod up the spine. And structural norms that are beyond the reach of musical action. As we move from structures of violence to structures of care, we need to take turns to rest and resist. Rest and resist. Sitting in the interstitial spaces, what are we really learning? If we share these stories, will we gain knowledge and insights? What are the labels we use, and are they the right ones? Can we get healing as researchers? What changed for you? What changed around you? Who are the music leaders? Where should the training reside? Who are the people who can speak openly on topics others would avoid? Norms diffusion can be First Nations led. Listen, tune in, look up, sense the rhythms of country. Extraordinary impact can come from the small and the ordinary. Not waiting, not stopping, because this is big work.
This is going to be a bit of an anticlimax, I'm afraid, after that. Mine is perhaps less creative in the immediacy, but a call for creativity. Picking up on Teoti's notion of norm entrepreneurship, and I'd like to think just a little bit together with you about how we might be norm entrepreneurs as researchers. Naomi's opening keynote has sent me on quite an interesting journey during this conference. You'll remember she mentioned a poem by Judith Wright, Reason and Unreason, where the heart was curved and the world ran straight. This madness, as Judith writes, is, I think, in all of our work. As I've digested the poem over these 3 days, guided by so many inspiring presentations and unexpected conversations, I've been rereading that poem at least a few times a day and thinking about what it means for my work or our work as researchers. We've heard during these days that music can be a powerful means to reproduce and disrupt the norms and normative systems that make our world visible. And it's this complexity that makes our work on the social impact of music making matter. But it might also give us some pretty handy tools. I was speaking with Naomi briefly before, and this poem also reminded me of one of my favorite books by a colleague, Aaron Kuntz, in the US, called The Responsible Methodologist. And I went in between these sessions to look at my bookshelf to find the book, and it's not there. So if I've lent it to you, I want it back. It's got my name in the front. But Kuntz reminds us that what we know, how we come to know, is never neutral. It's never absent the import of the ethical frame. Now, we've spoken quite a bit in these 3 days about resistance, but maybe not necessarily in relation to our doings as researchers, as inquirers. And I'd like us to think a little bit about how we might resist the seductive logic of method, how we might resist the division between me and the we, how we might resist to locating harm, trauma, and injustice as things that are out there that happen to others, but as part of the same systems and structures that we live within on a very mundane daily basis. How we might resist the framing of negative difference, how we might resist the reinforcement of a mind, body, culture, country divide. How we might resist the ability to know about anything once and for all, especially knowing ourselves. So music does do something, or affords something here. And if you think about those everyday little moments in the ways that we use music, we all have that song that we put on the car stereo after a bad day to kind of thrash out all that frustration. We all have those memories of sending those that we fancied a song with very important lyrics that we'd never ever say out loud in person. Yeah? See? Brydie, the opportunity. Tonight's the night. It makes it harder when your husband's a songwriter. 3
Golden Guitar nominations.
Music changes our breathing when we listen to performances such as that was shared with us so powerfully in the Emergent Emergency during the lunch break. Music allows us to think and be otherwise. It can be transformative for many of the people or social groups that we work with, but it also offers us a space to listen, to be in relation, to transform together, similarly to what I think that good research does. So when Georgie asked us what we'd tell our younger selves, I shared that I would tell myself to be weirder and to be okay with that. And I heard very similar kinds of stories being shared around the room. So in being our future selves now, what advice would we give on how we might be weird in the present? How might music guide us towards new ways of thinking, being, inquiring, in and through research? And at least I think the last 3 days have given us quite a few hints.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm thinking about a part of the quote that I read out on Monday morning by Helen Milroy, where she says, healing means we can be both soft and strong at the same time. And I've felt that through the last 3 days, and I felt the tensions of being soft and strong at the same time. And my mind is going around and around and around, and when that happens, I think, okay, I've got to spend some time with this. The different approaches to social change that have been spoken about overtly and implicitly across all of the sessions and through the performances that musicians have offered so generously to us. So I would like us to spend more time thinking and talking and engaging on how's this stuff happening? How could it happen? Because I think the last thing we need to do is be butting heads on approaches to social change. It's a topic that comes in and out of all of the work that I do and all of the work we do in the Remedy Project. And as I said, I heard it over and over again. We had abolitionist ideas, we had compassionate, healing, loving ideas, we had incremental change ideas, we had top end of town ideas, and we had mixtures and blends of all those. And I just want to say, brother Teodi, I think you are spectacularly soft and strong at the same time. Your role modelling in the keynote this morning was exquisite to me, and it shows wisdom and depth of practice. You know, in social work, we talk about practice wisdom, and I felt that when you were talking. I thank you for your advocacy over all these years. So, all I want to say other than this is we're going to do a little bit of sounding on the way out, but I just want to know who moved as slowly as compost.
For those who are online, you might not have heard the comment from the floor from dear Uncle Glenn Barry, who said, my brain is moving as slow as compost after such a rich 3 days of exchange. Thank you, Sister Naomi, for that amazing reflection. My reflections are in the imagery on screen, and as I said in the opening words there, the interactions, the relationship, the ways of knowing, being and doing that we've all shared. 24 different countries represented in the 130 people who've come into this space, some every day, some in fluid ways, some in different time zones, and I'm quite overwhelmed when I think of how staggering this big collective international conversation has been and how we've brought people together in this moment when we know how much hurt and pain there is in the world right now, and so many of our friends are fighting as artistic activists in that space. And so there is one person who has been with us all 3 days, who has engaged in a very strange social experiment to trick his body into Australian time, and that is Lukas, who I hope is still there with his cat, who has been his companion. So Matt, I wonder if you could stop the screen share so that we can see Lukas. Oh, look at you. Lukas, there's a big clap here for you. As our founding director of SIMM, so committed to all of the issues we've been talking about, Lukas, and the work that we've been sharing. I know you've taken such an interest. We've had an ongoing WhatsApp exchange where Lukas has been telling me all his thoughts and ideas. And we would love to hear some reflections from you. And thank you again for your very generous presence that's been with us online all 3 days, all through the night.
Well, reflections. It's been so much, and so many ideas, it's so dense also that I'm really happy that we will have the possibility to go visit certain sessions again. If I understand well, in the nearby future, this will be possible. Everything has been recorded, and I'm looking forward to that, because there's a series of sessions that I attended, but that I want to go back to and listen to, and also to understand better, because it's there's a lot of very new ideas that came out, and for that it was a very successful symposium. I think that indeed, like you said, Brydie, earlier on, it's been really a symposium out there where you are, and so with realities that at least I have not been so much confronted with in my work, and so thank you for that. And I would like to especially now take the floor to announce what we're going to propose the coming months, the coming year. We have besides several podcast episodes which are almost finished and which will soon come out, especially on participatory opera and music theatre. One other episode on the role of composition and composers in participatory music projects, and this is also going to be the topic, the focus of the upcoming research seminar, which we are going to organize in London with the Guildhall School in April, from the 15th to the 17th of April. And to remind people who don't know what the SIMM seminars are, in 2 words, it's very different from the symposium in the sense that it's much smaller. We select a maximum of 20 scholars who come together for 3 days, which is so precious these last years, to be able to spend time together in a small group, and so with the focus of composition and the role of composition and the role of composers. This means that those 20-ish scholars will be able to exchange their experiences, their methodology, research methodology, their research experiences, positive and difficult. A similar seminar is going to be organized in September, also at the Guildhall School. So London is going to be an important place for SIMM next year. And it will be a second edition of a research seminar on participatory opera and music theater. Sometime in September. The exact dates are not fixed. For the April seminar, we have a deadline for the call for those who want to participate, and it's very soon. It's the 15th of December is the deadline for those who want to apply for the composers seminar. Well, I think maybe this is the moment that we can give the floor to Maria Westphal from Copenhagen next year.
Hello, Maria. Our host for the next symposium. Did you want to try and entice everybody to come to your beautiful part of the world, like I did in London, telling them how nice the weather in Australia was? Yes, maybe you can, for a couple of minutes, entice us to come and visit you.
Yeah, thank you. So very welcome to Denmark in November, in 51 weeks. It's the first time actually the symposia will be in the northern part of Europe, so we're very happy to host it. And I'm Maria Westphal. I work at the Rhythmic Music Conservatory in Copenhagen, where we also have a research center on artistic citizenship. So we are really happy to collaborate in 2024 with SIMM to host the symposium there. So it will be actually in the center of Copenhagen. We are one of several art schools that are located in the central part of Copenhagen. And it will be between the 5th and the 7th of November. So we really hope that you are interested in joining the symposium. And some of the themes will be similar, of course, to what you have been working on during this symposium: participatory music practices, social aspects of listening, musical co-creation as social intervention, negotiations between of artistic agency and social values, artistic citizenship as practice, and music in detention or other freedom-deprived contexts. So yes, we are really happy to collaborate here, and we do welcome you to Copenhagen.
Thank you. I saw some excited faces in the crowd here with some of those words that you were saying. So we strongly encourage you to consider that. And Lukas, yes, you have your hand up. We'll let you speak.
Yes, I would just like to add that the deadline for applications for the Copenhagen symposium is the 31st of January.
You've been warned. Your Australian summer break is going to be consumed with writing your proposal. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us all the way from Copenhagen. It's a really exciting thought to think of how this truly international network does crisscross the world. So we look forward to next year's instalment, and we look forward to the conversations that will continue. So thank you so much, Maria, for joining us. It's lovely to see you. And thank you, Lukas, as well, for your reflections and for your outlining of upcoming events. As you can tell, we're rather busy in SIMM. It certainly keeps us on our toes. And thank you, of course, to these amazing scholars, friends and sisters on stage here for your reflections on the last 3 days, which were truly remarkable. I do want to do some thank yous, if you'll indulge me. There's some people who really have been working behind the scenes and are mindful that they haven't been caught on a camera on screen, and I want to just take a moment, if you'll indulge me, to just say a few thank yous. So I'm just going to go to the podium. Yes, thank you. So just to reiterate our thanks to our amazing host institution, to Griffith University, for hosting and supporting this whole event. Thank you to Professor Scott Harrison, Professor Bernard Lansky, Professor Vanessa Tomlinson, and Uncle Glenn Barry for opening up the space and helping us to hold the space over the 3 days. Your leadership has been really significant and your support has been appreciated. We also want to acknowledge that there are many staff at the Conservatorium here and in our Research Institute who've really assisted in amazing ways with the complex logistics of putting on an event like this. As you can imagine, it's not just an in-person conference, it's not just an online conference, it's both happening at the same time. And they've been absolutely stellar with all of the efforts that they've put in to make sure that it works beautifully, with only a couple of tiny little hitches. We want to, of course, thank our stellar lineup of keynote speakers, to Professor Naomi Sunderland, who kicked us off on day one, to Professor Georgi Ravulo, who then continued the conversation and the song on day two, and of course to our dear friend, Associate Professor Teoti Rakana, for such an amazing keynote this morning. Thank you all for your generosity in sharing your time and expertise. I wanted to also call out our interns now. Frankie, I can see, is up the back. Come up the front, please. Maddie, where are you? And our fabulous volunteers, Sherla, you need to come up the front here. Come and stand here. Caro, who is unfortunately not well. Matt, Zoom coordinator, Zoom guru. You should realise by now you're not in camera. You need to be on there. No, they're so modest. Go stand on the carpet. Thank you. You can go where you like now, that's fine. You're free. I also want to give a huge shout out to our sound operator, Ben, up the back. I'm too scared to tell him to come and get his gift because then the sound might cut out. So we'll give it to you afterwards, Ben. Sound is really important in these Zoom sort of setups so that people can hear us overseas. So thank you so much for that. I also wanted to thank Professor Vanessa Tomlinson and Associate Professor Tim Munro for curating our beautiful sound bath on day one. I don't think they're here to get goodies and gifts, but also a huge thanks to Flora Wong, who curated the beautiful performance that you heard today. We have a little something you can eat. Flora's a real foodie, so any food she's happy. And to all the performers who performed, our wonderful students, we really appreciated their creative talents. We of course want to thank all of the chairs. There were so many amazing chairs and online facilitators who played such a vital role in the different discussions that we had. You were all superstars and often under pressure, so thank you. And thank you to our phenomenal keynote respondents as well, who just really spoke from the heart and allowed us to enter into an even deeper reflective space after each of the keynotes. So, of course, we had Ivy on day one, which was just such a beautiful and powerful response to Naomi. We had Alexis, who gave a very clever and witty response to Georgi's singing, and then a really provocative and insightful reflection. And then I'm looking at Sandy as well, who took us to nature and water after Teoti's, and it was just such a beautiful and powerful compliment. So thank you to our keynote respondents for all of your contributions as well. Last but not least, I wanted to thank Lukas and our scientific committee. Lukas, as we've said, had the most incredible commitment to this. If there was a way I could transport a gift through the screen, that would be great, but unfortunately I can't. So Lukas, thank you so much for your support and your presence being here all 3 days. Now you have to be jet lagged and change your clocks back to Belgian time, I'm sorry. So there might be a couple of days of transition, but thank you to Lukas for all the work that you've put in, and especially in that early stage of receiving so many proposals. And to our scientific committee for all of their assistance right the way through the whole process from woe to go. Could they come up and get a nice clap? Gillian as well, Alexis and Naomi. And the other person who we would love to teleport here right now, of course, is our Emeritus Professor John Sloboda, who was also on the scientific committee, a staunch supporter of SIMM, founding president, and a huge support to me personally, and a wonderful support. So I wish John was here, because I know he'd have something interesting and witty to say. So I'll give you your little goodies. It's different so you don't get a double. Thank you. Oh. Okay. Oh. Fantastic. Thank you to these amazing people who've been such wise, wonderful colleagues to journey on this process with. Now to close, we want to...
We're not closing just yet.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not. There is one more person to thank, who without her, none of us would be here and nothing would function. Brydie, I don't know where she plugs herself in to recharge her batteries every night on a normal day, let alone in the last 3 days, but it is truly phenomenal how you work and bring such energy and joy to share with others as well. I don't know where you find the resources within. You must have a very comfortable bed. Or you just fall unconscious. So that's what I'd like to say. Thank you. It's been a joy to share with you.
Thank you.
Reiterating, thank you, and thank you for the beautiful, gracious ways that you create a space and hold so many of us within it and across so much distance in a conference like this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brydie, and I'd like to acknowledge your enduring and ongoing commitment to providing spaces for First Nations people, cultures and musics and country. And it is really noticed and it's really appreciated, and it, 3 keynote speakers with really, different perspectives to bring, and I know that your heart and soul and spirit is right behind that happening, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. She's getting me because the tears are about to flow. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honour, and thank you all for the collective commitment that this whole process has been. So, as my wise sister said, every meeting is a ceremony. Uncle Glenn teaches us too. Every moment is a ceremony and it's sacred. We opened this space and it's now time to close it. It's time to say our farewells and our thank yous, and till we meet again, I hope. and I look forward to those conversations. As Lukas said, there's opportunities. We'll share things so that people can go back and watch and reflect and contact people. But for now, we would like to bring this very sacred space we've shared together to a close. And so Uncle Glenn and Naomi have very kindly said that they will help to do that for us in sound. So I'd like to invite them now to close the space for us.
Brydie. Thanks, Brydie. Thanks, everyone. Teodi, if you would like to join, that would be beautiful too. And Sandy, we haven't talked to you about this, but if you'd like to come and join. Actually, you know, if anyone feels the impulse, we would actually love everyone to come down onto the floor together for this sounding, because we're going to sound together. Yes. And everyone online as well, we would love you to stand up if possible. Teodi. Stand up if possible. And leave your microphones off just because of the delay, but we would love you to sing or hum with us. So this is a song under construction. It's come out of the Remedy Project Yarns in Vanuatu 2 weeks ago with Sandy and everyone there. And Sandy hasn't even heard this yet, so it's a big surprise. Happy Christmas, Sandy. And the impulse to create this song came after a big yarn about why is music important with people at Leeuwarton. And I was floating in Champagne Bay. Does anyone been to Champagne Beach in Espiritu Santo? No, it is like what you see on the postcards. It's that beach. And I was digesting all of the yarns and all the stories and the sentiments and the values that had come through. And then I thought, how are we going to put this into song? And then I stopped thinking and I started feeling and I started listening. And my ears were under the water and I started hearing the coral talk to me. And the coral was going... And out of that sound, out of that water, this little melody came out. So we're going to start it, and we would invite you to just join in any way you like. If you'd like to hum, if you'd like to move, if you'd like to sing the words, that would be great. And then also, once we've got a bed of a current of this melody together, if anyone wants to add something different, we're only going to do this for about 3 minutes, so don't wait. If you've got an impulse, don't fight it. Say yes, yes, yes. Okay, so Uncle, if you could start us. Breathing and finding a shared tempo. Over the top, anyone?
in my bones. Sing me a song, so I know where I'm from. So lullaby in my bones. Sing me a song, so I know where I'm from.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone online. Closed. Got good vibrations in the bones. Thank you, everyone.
I fly to Hawaii.